Board of Select meeting on here Monday, August 28th, 2017 at 6:30. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. Thank you in the back row. Hope you guys are nice and cozy back there. Meeting minutes, there is none. Going into some new business. Presentation, new employee introductions. Mr. Penzini?
Yes, I'll ask Alan Mayo to introduce two new additions to his staffing.
Come on down to the front row.
He talked me into it. Good evening.
Good evening.
These are our two new highway labor operators, Rich Pompriant and Ryan Boussier.
Hi, Ryan. Hi, Rich.
Welcome.
We welcome them starting last Monday, so they're going to be about a week.
And we already have an addition to our worker comp roles.
I brought the suspect with me.
I think we need to talk about that.
Well, you know,
Maybe not right now. At another time, maybe. But who was watching you?
Who was watching?
Ryan. Yeah, Ryan.
Oh, gee.
Good, you guys are great together then. Awesome. Good job. You guys will fit
Yeah,
right in.
I've asked Alan to split them up.
Hey, welcome aboard,
Welcome.
gentlemen. I really appreciate it, and do good things for us, okay, in this community.
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Mr. Teneravini and Vinnie.
Jackie Prime is not able to be with us this evening, but
Bye, Alan.
as you know, with the expanded hours at the library, there was a additional slot created for a few hours for a library aide, and we have Luann Benkowski with us this evening. Luann, if you would, please.
Hi, Luann, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Hi, Luann. How are you?
Things going well?
Very well.
You all excited?
I am,
Good, so are we. We're glad to have you aboard.
thank you.
And I know with the library, with your help and all the help up there, I mean, the kids are doing a lot of great things up there. Appreciate it.
May I ask how many hours? Luann, I'm sorry, I'm 7?
Yep.
After school, or?
Yes, and I am retiring November 3rd, so.
Oh,
Not from us, I hope.
No.
you are?
I am from the
Oh,
school.
well, good luck
Wow.
to you. I'm happy to have you.
Yes, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Luann, for coming. And that is our introductions to you this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Fantastic, thank you. Appointments of, for the zoning board of appeals, full member, Ron Davin, to complete current term ending on 6/30/2019. Did I read that right?
What does that mean?
So right now, he's an, what do you call it, associate member?
Mm-hmm.
And we had looked into it with the town council, whether, remember when you first
Yeah.
appointed him, there was that issue about whether he didn't live in town?
Yeah.
And we looked into it with town council, and basically he said he didn't see a reason why he couldn't. I do have
Be a
Do you
full
have that
member?
legal opinion?
that, yeah.
Oh, so we are,
So there's an opening because another member did not get reappointed. And I contacted him several times, we sent a letter, haven't heard from him at all. So there's an opening for full member, and I asked Ron if he wanted to do that, if you were agreeable, if the board was agreeable. He said he'd like to.
This will now open, a subject to your action here tonight, this would open an associate membership, and we would look to recruit someone for that post.
for the associate.
Yes.
Good.
Is this something that can be read out loud?
I would suggest that legal opinions are subject to
Oh, that's right.
attorney-client privilege,
I know.
and that
Sorry,
you
I'm sorry.
should not break privilege.
Okay. So I will make a motion for the zoning board of appeals full member for Ron Davin and he would complete the current term to June 30th, 2019.
Okay, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second, any other discussion concerning this
Yeah,
appointment?
so does that mean that an associate member would be posted like on the website, or is that
Yes.
up to, okay,
No,
that's
we'll,
all.
we'll
So
come
there'll
to
be,
that.
okay, great, sorry, that's all.
Okay, any other discussion? I see none. Diane?
Yes,
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. And just to reiterate, so that appointment for the associate member will go on the website, so we can start looking for somebody to fill that position. Okay, great. Advisory committee response to the open meeting complaint. Open meeting law complaint that was filed back on July 27th by this office. Response was provided on August 16th of 2017, written by Ms. Julie Farrell on behalf of the Templeton Advisory Committee. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to do no action at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Doug. Do I have a second?
yes, second,
I have a motion and a
sorry.
second. Any discussion concerning the open meeting law violation? And obviously, this board is not taking any action. I see none. Diane?
Yes,
Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. The IMATA update, Diane?
yep, since Carter, Cameron's not here, so, we've solidified, a few other things, and there were questions between, Templeton and Winchendon, and we, worked that out. We're going to have, another meeting, hopefully, not this week, but next week, and hopefully it will be, no longer in draft form, but pretty much complete.
Great, great. You have any questions, Doug?
I think
Do you want to talk about the office hours?
I'm good at this point.
Yes, oh, I'm sorry, Doug. I didn't finish, but did you have a question?
I do not. I'm good at this point.
Okay, so I would like to go into, because this was brought up before and now, if we were to be able to work this out with Winchendon, there will need to be a change to office hours and select board meetings. So I just wanted to open up that discussion as far as what anyone's thoughts are, and maybe be able to bring that back to the next meeting once that's scheduled. So at the moment, I think the game plan, because it's 3 days in one town and 2 days in the other, but obviously evenings are a little bit different, so right now, each, both Winchendon and Templeton are open Monday through Thursday. So if he needs to spend 2 days and 3 days, it's not gonna be possible unless we're open another day, and their board of selectmen meetings are on the exact same nights that ours are. So, I don't know, I've been kind of like batting it around in my head. And again, I think that Carter would need to discuss this with the staff, but being closed on Mondays and open on Fridays, and the problem, the problem I see with changing our board meeting is that a lot of other committees are set up based on where ours are at, or whatever the case may be, but maybe, I know that we stay open late on Mondays, but maybe we need to move that to a different day, and that's the night we have our board meetings. So I'm not really sure.
Well, I would suggest that you do this in two pieces. The first is I would like to, but I don't want to do this without some holy water from you all. Have this discussion with the staff of what's your
Right.
reaction if we go from Monday to Thursday to Tuesday to
Friday.
Friday? What are your concerns? What are your questions? It's a far cry from being a done deal at this point, but it's something we need to be out front of because it impacts revising the schedule for budget and putting the calendar for 18 together.
Yep.
Right.
So, and then if we can see what their questions and their concerns are, and you may be able to address those, you may not, we'll have to see. Then, once that's resolved, we'll have made a little more progress with Winchendon. And I did ask Keith the other night, are you seeing this as Thursday, Friday? Well, I'm not really sure. Maybe I was thinking, maybe Tuesday and Friday, that would mix things up better. So I'm not just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then you don't see me for 5 days again. I'm thinking I'd like to sprinkle them in. Makes perfectly good sense. Let's start talking about that as well. So I guess, what I'd like to get is your understanding that I would begin this conversation with staff and report back to you as soon as we can put something reasonable together from their thoughts.
Yes, I mean, I do think we're gonna have to make a change, and I think changing the week to Tuesday to Friday is probably the most economical, even if he did consecutive days or if he did every other day. At least being Tuesday to Friday, gives us the advantage of having 2 full days. Of his
Or the
time.
discussion there, they may decide they'd rather slide. Somebody has to slide.
It's just, maybe it won't be us.
Yeah.
It's
um,
just,
So if we were to, that's what I would suggest, is we go to Tuesday to Friday. And then whatever day we change the selectmen's meeting to doesn't really matter to me. The other boards and committees will just have to adjust as well. I mean, I don't really think it makes sense to have it, later in the work week, because then if there is direction that comes out of the meeting, then you've got the whole weekend before, the staff can start responding to whatever transpired. So I think having it in the earlier part of whatever our work week is makes more sense. So either, a Tuesday or Wednesday, if we were to do Tuesday through Friday.
board meeting.
Right, I mean, we can work that through.
But those would be my suggestions.
Well, I think that the discussions need to be had with the town hall and department heads first.
I agree.
Maybe if we can just,
So can the minutes reflect that there was a consensus
Yeah.
that I begin that conversation with the town hall staff and the department heads?
yeah,
Because it's not just the ones that
Right.
work here, I need to get the input
right,
from the satellite units as well, because there may be something in particular
right.
in their workflow that just doesn't work if we were to slide.
Understood. I think that would be the best course of action at this point.
Okay, I'll report back to you as soon as I can.
That's good, thank you. Thanks for the update, Diane, that's good.
Mhm.
The contract with COG, subordination of the CDBG lien review, Mr. Tanzini?
Sure. So over a past number of years now, going back to, I think, '07 or so, the town of Templeton has made a number of loans/grants to people to upgrade their properties. They are essentially a 0% loan for 15 years, and then if they have held on to the property for the 15 years, they do not have to make any repayment, and that lien goes away. However, a couple times a year, and you've seen, I think, 3 within the past 6, 7 months, folks go out and they need to refinance, something's happened, and the new lending institution or the refinancing institution is unwilling to sit behind your lien. So they come in and say, okay, we want you, once loan number 1 is paid off, normally your lien would slide up, we want to say, nah, you'll stay put and we can slide back in front of you. And that requires a review of the loan package, what the financing is, the reasons for it, particularly if a family has made a request for a waiver or something else in a payoff. COG proposes to stay on to do that. They've been doing that for us the last couple without charge. But we have one or two choices. Choice number one is to bring it in-house. I don't think we're in a position where we have either the time, frankly, nor the knowledge of the program to bring it in-house. The second possibility is to retain COG, and they would be the ones who could do it most cost-effectively with the knowledge of our programs. I'm proposing a period of 3 years, a cap of $300 per case, which would give us basically around 3 cases a year, assuming that they all maxed out at 300. Last week's, the one that you had before you at your last meeting, was pretty simple, probably would have been around $225, $250. So that is what I discussed with them, a 3-year contract at $125 an hour with a cap per case of $300 and a cap that cannot be exceeded without authorization of $3,000 over the course of the 3 years. This would be paid out of your CDBG program income account, and there's around $12,000, I'm told, in that account right now. It's sounding about right. That's what Michael has in his records.
Yeah, with the two, yeah.
Yeah, that's the two. He's putting them together.
Right,
There's
with
there's kind of the miscellaneous admin, and then there's
The program. yeah.
sort of the program income, yeah. So the funds are there. I think it's a cost-effective approach, and truthfully, I would rather not devolve this responsibility onto the financial staff. I think they've got plenty to keep them busy.
Sounds good to me.
If there's other options you'd like us to explore, certainly we can always do that.
I make a motion to approve the CDBG services contract with Community Opportunities Group as laid out and to be signed by the chairman of the board.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Motion second, any other discussion? I see none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thanks for putting that together. All right, going to old business, financial policies. You saw the draft that was sent out last week, okay? We can talk about it if you want to. What I'd like to is, if possible, if you have questions, changes, misconceptions, changes you want to make, highlight, make things different, if you can send those to Mr. Tenzini and Holly by this Friday, that would be great. If earlier, the better. But we want to try to work on those, get those policies moving in the right direction. Do we have anything to discuss about the policy as it is right now, today?
I've gotten a pretty good set of comments from, I think I'm up to 3 members at this point.
Yep.
And so I've been feeding those to Michael and suggesting that he incorporate them, and if there's something that, and I gave him a set as well, and it doesn't look like the comments are kind of coming together, slide that one off to the side as a discussion point, and budget permitting, he would then come up and chat with the whole board.
Well, I can
to
tell,
work those out.
we're gonna meet on Wednesday at I think at 9. And between the 3 comments, I mean, I've also made comments as well. They're pretty much all about the same comments. The verbiage and language might be a little bit different, but we're all in the same direction going forward. And like I said, the team will be here on Wednesday at 9. Discussion of any other questions with the financial policies?
Yeah, so I gave Carter a number of changes today that,
Good.
I would like to see. I certainly wouldn't accept it as it is.
Mhm.
So,
We wouldn't expect you to either. I mean, I wouldn't accept it either. But obviously, moving forward, that's why it goes the way it's going. Any other thing on the financial policies? Good. Going to the municipal calendar, which again, I don't know if there's a copy in your paperwork or not. There's a few draft municipal calendars out there. I mean, this is one of them.
No, I haven't seen,
Okay, I'll get that back out to everyone tomorrow then, and we'll get it
Have it?
out in a,
no,
Okay.
I have
did we
not.
have a
So-
Word version?
Well, my big thing is I wanna make sure that, it's, you know, it assists and mimics, you know, DOS and the DOR. Obviously with some tweaks based on how we're going forward as a community. But it's kinda like a one snapshot where you look at one piece of paper and you can see everything in a line, how things are moving forward. And that's what our municipal calendar should look like. And that could be online as well, where the people can actually see it as well, the public, and I think that's gonna be huge, going in the right direction for everybody, under transparency. But if you can get that out, Kyra, that'd be great.
I can, and I'll send out another copy of my proposed calendar with my handwritten comments that's
That'd be
in
good.
this packet. So you'll have them both together at the same time.
Great,
Maybe it's in my email, John, but
Yep.
my email has been kind of
understood,
fluky, so
it's okay.
I don't remember the last time I saw that.
Well,
I'm
what we'll,
sorry.
it's okay. What we'll do is we'll email them out in the morning, both
Yeah, so we
a
can-
scan of my document. I think we converted the municipal calendar to Word, is Holly's recollection. And we'll put a copy on the table in there for everybody as well.
Would any of that be subject to change if, along with
Oh, yeah.
meetings and stuff, so
Yep.
that and this piece?
Well, I'm gonna tell you that my first
Just-
overall recommendation to you is that we not necessarily have specific dates in it, but shoot more towards weeks.
Yeah,
So
that's
that you don't
better.
necessarily
Okay.
have to completely rewrite the thing every
Right,
single.
right.
As you get closer to a budget, yes, I think that you need
This part.
something like that.
Okay.
But the calendar for the year's entirety, I think if we can move that to, week 1, week 2,
Yep, that's perfect,
then you just don't have to rewrite it every bloody year.
that's perfect. Thank you, Kyra. Now, about the social media policy, the lapel pin policy, and the scholarship policy, I'm still waiting to hear back from some other members. So if we can get information back again on Friday on these policies, I mean, you should have all these policies. Questions, comments, misconceptions, if we can get them back by Holly or Mr. Tanzini by Thursday, because Friday we're out, by Thursday if possible. Gives me some time over the weekend to put something back together, maybe get something back out to Holly on Monday, which gets something back out to the rest of the Board of Selectmen Monday afternoon or Tuesday. Does that seem doable?
Mhm.
The surveys for next week's workshop, I would request if we could have them by Wednesday
Yes,
at
yes.
noon, because Thursday I'm not here. I think that Holly may have a responsibility for a family member,
Oh, did-
and then we've lost,
gotcha.
Monday's a
Did you
holiday.
get mine?
Right.
I don't think so.
The survey part, I emailed that.
Did you attach it? I'll have to look.
We'll double check everything in the morning, get
Okay.
the folks, kind of an update of, I know we've been asking you to do quite a few things,
Yes.
markups here the last couple of weeks. So we'll go through, see what we do have, what we don't have, and make connection with you.
Okay. And that's it with those three policies, which would be great. And again, I think all this is gonna bring the community closer. Any public comments? See none. Board of staff comments or reports? Yes, sir.
If I can, Mr. Chairman. Just want to let the board members know that the first completed monthly reconciliation report is on the table in there for your review. It shows you the budget to actual, each cash account, whether it reconciled, if it didn't, how much the variance is, and why. And now you'll see how that two-part form was intended to work. Trial balance sheet, did we get that attached at the end? The
Yeah.
one- Thank you very much.
The one page I didn't get done.
Okay,
No.
well, we'll get that for next one. We saw in going through this today, I mean, we looked, we said, oh geez, you know, we ought to do this with the cover page to make it a little bit simpler. So if you can, if we can get 3 signatures who've reviewed and signed off on that, we'll get that off to the state, along with, you know, just a quick check, make sure that this is doing what they want to do.
Yep.
There will be a revision when you see it next month. But I just wanted to let you know that we are making progress on that.
Great.
And it's there as promised.
Good job, Kelly.
And Cheryl.
And Carol. And everybody. The whole finance team. Excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody else have anything? Diane?
I attended the craft fair over the weekend, and I just wanted to say that thanks for sitting in the junk tank
Sure.
along with Mr. Cushing and Mr. Cassavant, and I will say that some of the members who were running that said that you and Mr. Cushing made them the most money, so that was
Must be doing
really,
something right.
that was a really good
Way to
fun-
look at it.
But you know what? I think a lot of people had fun. I think that I'm happy that the rain held off. I don't know. It's always a nice event. So and then just kind of want to talk about the one way a little bit. And I know that there have been many. It takes a lot to get used to, and I know that there are still people who are going the wrong way on the one way. So I would just urge people to be careful, and to people who don't come into town all the time. So I did see, maybe it was in the weekly comments, about they need to make some tweaks, and because there were so many comments either written to me or on Facebook, I went with, I did what I said I was gonna do, and Alan and I spent with Officer Smith a good couple of hours up there just really looking around, and we do have still a resident to speak to, and we were gonna do that together. Alan was gonna reach out to the engineer, and, you know, there are definitely, there are pros, there are good, you know, I've heard a lot of good, and then I've heard a lot of, oh my gosh, not so good, but I think that in the end, I know it takes a while to get used to, but I think safety-wise, that's why the board made that decision, that it will be safer, period. So Al and I will probably get together over the next couple of days just to see what he found out from the engineer, and then to still speak with Sonia White.
Great.
Who is the person right there, right at the wedge, so.
Super.
Yep.
Good job. Good job, Alan. And anybody that goes up the wrong way, I mean, I'm sure you can figure it out pretty quick with the amount of arrows that are on the road, which I've never seen that many arrows in my entire life. So my hats off to you, Alan. I think I counted like 20-something arrows. I don't know, between both sides. But anyways, good job, Alan.
We wanted to be sure they knew.
You kept my attention.
Yeah, it's really, you know, again, if I've heard comments about the barrels, but you know what? I'd much rather, if somebody is going to not understand, I mean, at least you would have somewhat of a barrel to stop you, and not a person, and not someone's property, or, you know, you know.
And this is up to DOT
where I'm at
standard as
with
far
that.
as the signage. Signage, is it all in the right place? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the only confusing part is when you're going up Wellington and you're just wanting to go back down south.
it's
So
blind.
I've seen
gonna
a lot
say
of
it's-
people go up to the yield sign
Yeah,
and then make their left as opposed to going around
we
the little
talked about
curve there.
that.
So that's, I think, the only part that might need some tweaking there is to make it more visually that, oh, if you're doing the U, you go this way, not up to the yield.
I think the police department has been doing some tweaking too. I would like to be able to see, you know, there've been a lot of comments about 18-wheelers and being able to swing wide, but then when Alan and I kind of went down there and we're standing in the road and we're moving over, and, you know, I'm not a truck driver, so, you know, we try to address everyone's concerns, correct? Every comment, that we heard, so. And then can I just make a comment on the trees that were removed from the common? I got a lot of commentary on that, and, Alan sent me some photographs, and they were extremely diseased and very dangerous. I'm not sure if there's a plan. You know, I have not spoken to him again. I just asked him to send me some photographs, and they needed to come down, and they were unsafe. And as we know, we've spoken about this before, in other communities, trees have fallen on people, and thank God that never happened here. So, do you know, Alan, if there are plans to replace any of those, or were they just being removed for now? If you don't mind, Carter.
They're just being removed for now, but I have had some suggestions about
Okay.
replacing.
Yep.
We have in previous years put in some elm trees, the heritage elms that are.
The Liberty elm?
Yes, that are
Yeah, a
disease
lot of people,
resistant.
you're right.
Some of them have taken real well and others haven't, so it depends on where you plant them and what the soil is. But, yeah, that's a possibility. Maples don't do all that well up there. So I kind of try to stay away from the maples a little bit, but certainly the elms or maybe some more ashes, but then you have ash yellows, which is a disease that's coming through New York and the Commonwealth, so, do we really wanna put ashes back up there and have them get that at some point? So, it's something to look at, but certainly, yeah, I would be open to putting trees back, as we take some down. It's sad to see them go.
Yeah.
But at the same
They've been there a
time,
long time.
the last thing I wanna see is somebody get,
It's safety first.
yeah.
So, some of the other comments that were made were like, what, you know, was the proper process followed? Yes. I mean, I don't know how many people, go to a tree hearing, we're a rural community. Some people, when I posted that, were like, what is that? But all the notices in the paper, and then there's a Shade Tree Act, but all of that was, properly followed. We don't just make decisions to just say, oh, hey, let's, cut down that tree. We had an arborist and all of that, because no one wants to see, it again. So that's all. Those are my 2 comments for this week.
Great. Doug, you have anything?
Only thing I've really got to say is I'm gonna bring to the boards, get it on the agenda in a few weeks. I wanna make some revisions to the, town meeting bylaw, perhaps. So I'm gonna, write up some changes, but I'd like to bring it to the board, in a few weeks when this is ready. I'll ask for an agenda item at that point.
Sure.
Just for consideration, at this town meeting.
Okay. Excellent. Anybody else have anything? Yes,
I'll
Mr.
just follow up on that. I did start, just so you'll know, today, working with the clerk on potential dates when both she and the moderator in the room would be available all at the same time, mid-November, which backs into all the financial planning that we've been doing. Once we have that, we will bring you to open and close the warrant. It appears that November 14th is looking to be the best date at this point.
Okay.
So we'll prepare, I'll talk with her in the morning, and we'll prepare a countdown calendar, including the open and closing
Sounds good.
of the warrant for the general public. I can lend you any assistance, Doug, just let me know.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll do my first draft and run it by you.
Sure.
Then we'll go
Whatever
from
we
there.
can do to help.
Could, at the same time, I'm sorry, Mr.
Go ahead.
Chairman, could we ask where the codifying is of our bylaws? I've not asked Carol
Sure.
about that, and I'm not really sure.
That was a
Where
3
they're
fiscal
at,
year
yeah.
process, but I can get an update from
Yeah,
her.
that would be nice
Sure.
too. Thank you.
Great. Yes, Kelly?
I just wanted to let the board know that I'm in the final stages with, Tony Roselli of submitting our free cash calculations, information to the DOR. So that should be submitted either tomorrow or Wednesday, and so we should know probably by the first of next week, what our free cash certification will be.
Great. And we're on target as far as what our projections were gonna be.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Do you feel any deviations will happen, you think?
No, I mean, there's a few minor different things here and there, but it's, you know,
Nothing
we'll
that's-
have enough to cover the deficit stuff.
Okay, super.
Other than the numbers we're waiting from Worcester Regional Retirement System, I have to say that our financial plan is on target.
And we're still waiting.
Is that,
Those
normal
numbers-
for
well, those
Worcester
numbers have to
Regional
go-
be so late?
This isn't unfortunately late.
We're early.
We're just,
We're way
you're
early.
just
Oh.
unbelievably early.
Wow, no one's ever said that before.
Well, that's,
Sorry, not when it comes to, that's a good thing, yay.
that's because we have a different approach to this.
Excellent. New leadership. Must be new leadership.
So, it's not that they're late, it's just
Okay.
that it's a very specific thing. Light and Water can't finish theirs until they get the number. We have to get Light and Water audits and our number. And it comes together very nicely once we have the numbers to simply plug in.
Because everything else for the audit is completed, except for those two pieces. All
Excellent.
the field work, everything is done.
That's good to know. Can't beat that. Yes, Holly?
Just wanted to mention to the public that we're gonna be having all the documents that the board sees at their meetings on the My Town Government site where we post our meetings. So if anyone's curious to look at the documents that the board looks at the meeting, you can go look at those online.
Accepting the executive session.
Right, all the public ones, yeah.
Right.
Yes, I got you. All right. Anybody else have anything?
Hey, Jackie.
Hi. Sorry, I'm late.
Okay.
It's okay. Well, today's a very good day for me, because the kids are back in school. So, that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
All right, have a second.
Second.
I want to say any discussion. I see none. Diane? Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you all for
Yes.
coming.